Curiouser and curiouser. We've made a delightful mess of things, haven't we? Let's not dally now. It's through the looking glass for you.
So it's 2016 and we are talking about Sinister Squad. What, did you mishear me? Did I mean to say Suicide Squad? Oh no, I meant to say Sinister Squad, which is also known as Villain Squad. This is a 2016 movie by The Asylum. The Asylum, of course, well known for making mockbusters of the big blockbusters that come out, and they'll make a kind of a cheap movie that kind of looks something similar to that movie, but obviously really isn't. This one, basically, I have to say, has some clever ideas. Basically, it takes a bunch of fairy tale villains, all of which, of course, are public domain, and basically has this kind of Alice from Alice in Wonderland, teams him up to take out a greater threat, that being Death and his minions. I have to say, if you've seen a previous Asylum movie called Avengers Grimm, it's somewhat similar to that, and I wonder if it's actually a sequel, to be honest, although it's been recast, if it is. So I'm not quite sure if that is actually meant to be a sequel. I suspect that it might be, because it does mention things like the kind of the mirror that's smashed and stuff like that. But anyway, you pretty much you can watch it as a standalone film. And basically what we have Alice from Alice in Wonderland. We've got the Pied Piper, we've got Goldilocks. These are our good guys, and they basically assemble a group of villains, including Rumpelstiltskin, the Big Bad Wolf. You've got Bluebeard, a couple of other ones as well, and they basically kind of coerce them into helping them to take out this kind of Death character who kind of wants to sort of take over and all of that. So that's pretty much a movie, very much like Suicide Squad, or at least I feel that's probably what it would be. So how does this compare? I've got to say, some Asylum films I feel are a little unfairly judged. This one isn't one of them. This film, unfortunately, is on the poorer side of the Asylum spectrum, and the Asylum spectrum normally is pretty poor. Unfortunately, this film is very small in scale. It doesn't really feel anything special at all, even for the Asylum. It all really happens in one location for kind of the vast majority of this film. There's some strange directorial choices here. Rumpelstiltskin, for example, whenever he kind of does something, they basically overdub strange kind of cartoon sounds over him. It's just a bit weird. It's an odd decision. The characters are a mixed bag. I'll come on to them. On the negative side here, Death, unfortunately for a villain, is by far the weakest part here. Absolutely rubbish. A lot of the guys on the good guy side, with the exception of Alice, are pretty forgettable, and some of the villains as well are pretty forgettable. I did like Alice, I have to say. I thought the actress that played her did a quite good job of kind of making her seem sexy but deranged. The guy who played Rumpelstiltskin is clearly the stand-in for the Joker for this movie, and I actually think he wouldn't make a bad Joker, actually, because the way he kind of does manic, and he's got obviously a kind of quite kind of gaunt look, he'd pretty make quite a good Joker, to be honest with you. And I also quite like the guy who played the Big Bad Wolf. He's basically the muscle, but he actually has an arc in this story. But everything else is just so basic and kind of just very kind of like sort of cartoony and sort of tongue-in-cheek. And unfortunately, this film is just boring. A lot of it is just kind of standing around talking a lot of the time with characters that you don't really care about. They don't really seem like grounded characters at all. Obviously, it is a sort of a tongue-in-cheek film, but there are adult elements in it as well. Obviously, Bluebeard here is a particularly kind of a vicious character, and there's a kind of a cannibalistic witch as well that looks like she's come straight out of a J horror. That's actually quite gory in places. So it's kind of an odd mix of themes there. But overall, the quality of this film is just a bit of a kind of crappy film. It's very cheaply put together and slapped together. A couple of character moments I like, and some kind of sometimes sort of fun effects here. Really don't make make up for the film that unfortunately this is a poor effort. I didn't mind the Avengers Grimm for a B movie, but this one unfortunately, even though it's quite similar to the Avengers Grimm, I feel it's just not as good, even judging it from a B movie standard. Unfortunately, it's kind of boring, it's forgettable, it's populated by so many characters that unfortunately I feel are a missed opportunity. Yeah, it was a clever idea to use kind of public domain but well-known characters and kind of put them together. I quite like the idea of that, but ultimately, even for an Asylum B movie, this one is a failure. Obviously, wait for the real Suicide Squad and we'll see how that one turns out. 3 out of 10 for me for this one. Have you seen it, or did you think of it? Leave me a comment and I'll look forward to you next time. Bye for now.